Right now, as you watch this, your brain is generating toxic waste. Every thought, every movement, every breath leaves behind molecular garbage, like beta amyloid, the protein linked to Alzheimer's. In our world, the only way to clean this up is to go unconscious. During sleep, your brain's glymphatic system opens up, flushing these toxins out like a biological dishwasher. But what if evolution found a workaround? What if humans never slept? To survive a sleepless existence, our biology would have to be fundamentally re-engineered. Instead of a nightly deep clean, our brains would need to perform hot swapping, cleaning and repairing neurons on the fly while we talk, walk, and work. Think about how you learn. Sleep is where memory consolidation happens. Your brain takes the messy data of your day, replays it at high speed, and files it away into long-term storage. Without sleep, learning would feel entirely different. Your brain would have to partition off sections of your mind. While you're awake and reading a book with the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere might be offline for 10 minutes, indexing what you learned an hour ago. You might experience brief, localized quiet zones in your brain, micro moments where parts of your mind go blind to the world just to keep your memories intact. But the biggest biological casualty? The subconscious mind. Without sleep, dreams vanish. The surreal, chaotic playground where your brain processes deep emotional trauma, fears, and bizarre creative combinations would be completely erased. Would surrealist art exist? Would psychology ever have discovered the hidden depths of human desire? Without dreams, humanity's creative spark might become purely logical, predictable, and cold. We wouldn't just lose sleep, we might lose a massive chunk of our imagination.
If you think an extra 8 hours a day means more time to play video games and paint, you don't know human history. The moment biology frees us from the bed, society chains us to the desk. The concept of the day completely shatters. In our world, the 8-hour workday exists purely because humans biologically crash after 16 hours. Remove that crash, and the economic incentive to keep factories, offices, and construction sites running 24/7 becomes unstoppable. The standard work week wouldn't be 40 hours, it would easily skyrocket to 80, 100, or even 120 hours. Urban landscapes would become perpetual motion machines. There would be no rush hour because there was no beginning or end to the day. Shift work disappears because everyone is on the same permanent shift, life. Schools would operate around the clock, with kids cycling through continuous education blocks. Restaurants, grocery stores, and corporate headquarters would never lock their doors. But this continuous machinery demands power. Our global energy grids would face an unprecedented crisis. Streetlights, high-rises, and server farms would pump out carbon emissions at a relentless, unchecked rate, drastically accelerating climate change because the planet never gets a dark, cooling intermission. And then there's the literal cost of staying awake. When you sleep, your metabolism slows down, conserving energy. If you are active for 24 hours straight, your body burns roughly 30 to 40% more calories every single day. To survive, the average human would need to eat 5 to 6 full meals a day. Globally, this would trigger a catastrophic food crisis. Agriculture would have to expand aggressively to feed a population that is burning fuel around the clock. Your grocery bill would double, and the fight over global resources would turn vicious.
Take a look around your home. Every house, apartment, and hotel on Earth is designed around a single piece of furniture, the bed. In a sleepless world, real estate undergoes a radical evolution. The bedroom, as we know it, is entirely obsolete. House design shifts toward high-utility spaces. Houses become smaller because you no longer need dedicated quiet zones for unconsciousness. Hotel industries collapse overnight, replaced by refreshment stations, where people stop for a quick shower or a meal before continuing their day. The geography of our world changes too. Right now, society is built on the concept of local time zones. We coordinate across borders based on who is awake. But if everyone is always awake, time zones lose their social meaning. Global stock markets never close. International trade happens at the exact same intensity at 3 a.m. as it does at 3 p.m. The division between daytime cities and nightlife districts vanishes. Quiet, sleepy suburbs become loud, active hubs of community activity at all hours. Quiet zones, areas of absolute silence, would become a luxury commodity, heavily regulated by governments to prevent cognitive overload from the constant ambient noise of humanity. But what happens to how we connect? In our world, going to bed together is a vital anchor for human relationships. It's a shared vulnerability, a built-in period of enforced intimacy where partners talk, unwind, and rest side by side. Without it, human socialization becomes hyper-transactional. People would constantly be on the move, drifting in and out of social circles based purely on shared activities rather than shared biological rhythms. Relationships might become far more fragile when there is no natural pause button to force two people into the same quiet room together.
So if we take a step back and look at the big picture, would we actually survive this? Even if our biology adapted to clear out brain toxins and process memories while awake, human psychology has a limit. Sleep acts as a psychological reset. It breaks up our failures, our grief, and our stresses into manageable 16-hour chunks. When you have a terrible day, you sleep, and the next morning, the world feels slightly different. Without that natural intermission, mental burnout would be absolute. Existential dread, anxiety, and depression would pile up continuously without the buffer of a new morning. Human emotion would become a runaway train, speeding down the tracks without a single brake pad. If this sleepless trait wasn't a universal evolutionary gift, but rather a technological choice, say a genetic modification or a pill developed by big tech, the social divide would be terrifying. The wealthy would buy the ability to never sleep, instantly multiplying their productivity, wealth, and power, while the lower classes would be forced to sleep, falling further and further behind in a hyper-accelerated economy. Sleep would become a marker of poverty, a biological weakness exploited by a sleepless elite. Ultimately, a world without sleep sounds like a hyper-productive utopia, but it quickly unravels into a relentless, exhausting dystopia. Sleep isn't a design flaw in the human machine. It's our saving grace. It's the ultimate equalizer that forces the billionaire, the worker, the artist, and the scientist to lay down their tools, close their eyes, and surrender to the exact same darkness. It reminds us that we are biological creatures, not algorithms. So the next time you crawl into bed and pull up the covers, don't think of it as lost time. Think of it as the most fundamentally human thing you can do. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to help me sleep better at night.